So about 10 minutes after we pulled the crucible off the flame and started to let it cool down, we're now cool enough for us to place it back onto the analytical balance. This is the same analytical balance we started with. Remember, it's important to be consistent with the instruments that you work with. So we're using the same analytical balance. So the first thing I'm going to do is just 0. And we're going to see how much the crucible with the product weighs. Again, we're still using tongs to handle this so we don't get any contaminants on our crucible. We'll give this a second to round out. So we have the little asterisk here that indicates that our reading is stable. So our mass is 25.8764 grams after our first heating. Well, we're going to wait a second here. Maybe it's going to be 0.65. 25.8765 grams. So we will take that out. Now another thing we need to note is I have this lid here. And you can see, actually turn the manual focus on here. You can actually see that when we used this to cover the crucible while it was boiling, so we didn't get as much splash out, and that actually coated some of our product on the lid. Now we could scrape that off and put it into our crucible. We could also weigh the lid with this product, then clean it off really well and reweigh it when it didn't have anything on it. You'd want to burn it out like we did the crucible, though, just to be sure we got all the oils from our hands and everything off of it. But I'm not going to do that, so that will be one potential source of error here. I'm going to take this back to the flame, though. We're going to heat it for about another 5 minutes with a strong flame, trying to drive off any more water that might be in there and convert any lingering magnesium hydroxide, if there is any. There shouldn't be. And then we'll weigh it again for the second time. We let this cook for about another 10 minutes. And I've also let it cool off for about 10 minutes now. And we're going to weigh it to get our second mass. Again, same analytical balance. And we're still using tongs to handle it. Let this steady out. All right, so it has steadied out at 25.8762, which is, oh, hold on, 63. I think it's just that I'm bumping the table now. Let's give it just a moment. I'm going to move my paper away. The problem with analytical balances is that they're very responsive to environmental disturbances around them. All right, so 8765, that's exactly the same number that we had before. So even if it keeps going up a couple decimals of a milligram, that's what you're looking at there. That's consistent enough for me to be convinced that we have gone through and driven off all the water. So now we can calculate the mass of the magnesium oxide in the crucible, and you can go through your calculations and figure out what your theoretical yield is and compare that to your experimental yield to calculate your percent yield for this experiment.